It's Tuesday, August 4th. I'm Jeremy Wolf, former MLB draft pick, former Olympic qualifier, former professional athlete, founder of Open Athletes. Welcome to Open Athletes, the daily live business show for athletes actually building something, the perspective that athletes have in the marketplace about actually building something. What is it that athletes are doing in sports? What is it that the sports industry is doing currently? As I was writing today's script, it's like, man, this stuff every single day is like a new hit, a new this, a new something. We're going to talk a little bit about baseball today. We're going to talk about Jake Paul taking on the UFC, MVP and Professional Fighting League merged into one platform with nearly 400 fighters. We're going to talk about the MLS. I'm a big, the future of the MLS is looking bright kind of guy. But I think there's something there with the product on the field that maybe others would agree with me. So we'll get into that today. Ice Cube is taking his basketball league public. The Big Three, for which I have never watched a game, is going public. So much to discuss there. Northwestern opened the most expensive college football stadium ever built, and Robinhood quietly turned your brokerage into a sports book. In today's take, we're going to talk about tech and media and the athlete who owns the distribution beats the athlete who owns their own talent. But first, our quick hits. The Dodgers added Tarek Skubal at the deadline, the reigning AL Cy Young Award winner, to a team that already prints its money. The competitive gap just got a new floor. Relights the salary cap fight that's definitely going to happen this year. If it wasn't going to be for Tarek Skubal, it was going to be for a million other reasons. I've been in conversations like this with the union and the league before, and that's two sides that are very much unwilling to budge. And so if Major League Baseball is preparing to go public with commercials, and in some cases already has, try to convince the public that Major League Baseball needs a salary cap, that is a recipe for disaster. We'll say for me, Major League Baseball is going to be on the losing side of this, and Major League Baseball sounds like that to me. The U.S. men's national team is keeping Mauricio Pochettino through the 2030 World Cup cycle. Stability from a federation that doesn't do stability very well. Am I bullish on the U.S. men's national team? No. It's just one thing after another with them. Are we going to see them perform well in the next World Cup? I don't know. Have they done well over the last couple of years? Did they do well with him? They did fine. They did as expected with him. So, are things more chaotic with Pochettino than Greg Berhalter? No. That was bad for the brand. So we'll see how Pochettino does through 2030. The money coming into U.S. men's national team. People want the U.S. men's national team to win. The United States should be better, more consistent in world football, and we're not. But my team is Italy, and we haven't been to 3 straight World Cups. Live Golf says its next 2 events are on, but questions remain over the season finale. A league that confirms it's happening 2 weeks out is telling on itself. It's telling on itself that A, they've completely run out of money. B, the experiment worked. Okay? If the goal was to pressure the PGA Tour, well, it didn't work because they ran out of money. Let's be real. It didn't work because they wanted to significantly compete with the PGA Tour long term. In the short term, they spent all of the money to get all of the players that you would watch on a for them, Friday through Sunday. They got John Rahm. They got Bryson DeChambeau. They got Phil. They got Brooks Koepka. Who was on the PGA Tour? Who was left on the PGA Tour? Best player in the world. Scotty Scheffler. Rory. Okay. Wyndham Clark. But I'm not watching as much as I love the Rocket Mortgage Classic, and I'm sorry to pick on the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Rocket Mortgage, maybe future sponsor of the show. What was better for viewing? What was more fun to watch? I think it was exactly the same product watching on the couch. I think what was different was how competitive the competition was. Was it more entertaining? Was it less entertaining? Did Live Golf change the trajectory of the PGA Tour? Yes, certainly. Without question. Without question. And the PGA Tour had to change its tactics to keep players happy, change its pricing, change its relegation, not relegation. Obviously, due to the fact that Live Golf's ideas were good, but it will no longer exist, and there will only be one golf league left, at least in the States. And we'll see what the three leagues do together to improve how golf is on a day in and day out basis outside of Masters. Outside of the majors, because the majors are what these guys are playing for. I mean, you can tell they don't go to all events. Are these guys going to go to more events? Is it going to be more exciting for me to watch on a consistent basis? Maybe. Maybe. The WNBA deadline came and went quietly. Kelsey Plum headlined. Debate of the week is the rookie class. Already better than Caitlin Clark's. Quiet deadline. Loud league. Money's moving off the court. These WNBA organizations are worth... at least New York's, I think, is worth $1 billion. Great. This is great for women's sports, certainly. This is great for sports. I like the WNBA. I think it's exciting basketball. I used to go to games when I was in San Antonio. I really enjoyed it. And I want to see it be more prominent, and I want to see these stars succeed on and off the court, because this is a league full of stars. They should benefit from it, for sure. Robinhood's Q2 earnings dropped, and event contract trading, betting on outcomes, prediction markets, is now a real business. I wrote in the script, everything is a casino now, but everything has been a casino. Casinos are casinos. Sports betting is casinos. Sports is casino. Prediction markets are casinos. Robinhood. Meta's going to have one. It's everywhere. We're never going to have prediction sponsors, certainly. But on the bottom of the ticker, we're never going to have like plus 300. Honestly, I don't even know how any of that stuff works. I've never done it. I've never wanted to do it. For me, I just enjoyed the sporting of it. And now everything is gambling. If you're an athlete currently, be careful. Don't do things that are stupid. If you're not an athlete, if that's your muse, I'm not going to tell you what to do, what not to do. However, this show is not one that will promote gambling as a sponsor. And I want to see sort of what comes of this. We're very early in this prediction market stuff. We are not very early in sports betting taking over sports. And so there's going to be a lot more to come from how all this stuff is going to work. Open Athletes is presented by Marvelous. Open Athletes is presented by Marvelous, the all-in-one platform to help health insurance agencies become more effective and more efficient. Thank you, Marvelous, for sponsoring our little show. This is our second live show. I was so excited to get on today. I just thought it would be really fun to have this conversation with you, whoever is out there listening. Today we're going to talk about Jake Paul and his company, MVP, swallowing the PFL. Combat Sports' new heavyweight MVP and PFL merger. Jake Paul merged most valuable promotions with the Professional Fighters League. One comeback company now built to challenge the UFC. And no, this is not a stunt. Combined company spans boxing, MMA, live events, athlete development, and the international media with nearly 400 fighters. PFL CEO John Martin leads it. Jake Paul and Nikisa Badarian stay on the board. Badarian runs boxing. This is per Bleacher Report on July 30th. MVP brings Netflix, ESPN, Sky Sports. PFL brings 34 international deals. The UFC was the only real buyer of top MMA talent. And only buyers set the price, which is why fighters got a low teens revenue share with less than 50% of what the NFL NBA players get. Jake Paul is just built a second bidder. He do it because he wasn't the talent. He was the distribution. An audience of tens of millions converted into ownership. Distribution beats talent. The counterpoint is 2 money-losing promotions don't automatically make a profitable one, but the mechanism is the lesson itself. Let's jump into some commentary on this, because Most Valuable Promotions and Professional Fighters League merged to create a new global combat sports platinum powerhouse. This is exactly what we saw with Liv in the PGA Tour. We're seeing the same thing here. There's an opportunity in the market to merge 2 companies or create their own. How can you bring the best fighters? I would say that the sport is somewhat star-driven. Conor McGregor, obviously, famous for being in the UFC, as well as like his obviously off-the-ring endeavors. But Most Valuable Promotions and the Professional Fighting League has an opportunity to significantly rival UFC if they do a couple of things right. Number one, I'm not saying make it more family friendly, because it's not. It's fighting. Can you make it more accessible? Can you make it easier to access? Are they going to make it easier to stream? Are they going to make it easier to watch? Number 2, you're going to get the best fighters if you pay them more. Boxers make hundreds of millions of dollars per fight, win or lose. MVP, Professional Fighters League, announce with their merger that their athletes are going to be paid better if the fights are going to be more accessible. If there is an entertainment value that differs from what UFC is presenting, what is the customer? What is the viewer? I'll sit and watch a fight. What is the viewer going to get differently with MVP than UFC? Am I going to look at MVP and I'm going to go, oh, that's the live golf of fighting, and it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really matter. Oh, UFC is the PGA Tour. And when UFC is the PGA Tour, man, I'm really going to tune in to the 3M Open because that's more legit than the Saudi golf tournament that live golf. I want to see the best athletes participate. So is MVP and PFL, with all of their reach, with partnerships with ESPN, Sky Sports, DAZN, Netflix, are they going to have a better product than what UFC is going to have? And have people soured on UFC as a brand because of what they have been involved in over the last couple of years? I would say no to that. If there's 10 sporting events going on at one time, there's hockey over there. There's hockey over there. There's a baseball game over there. There's a football game over there. But there's a fight right there. I'm going to go over and watch that fight. Are you going to make that fight more accessible and more exciting for me? I always end my segments saying we will see. But I think it's very interesting that there's an opportunity now to compete with the UFC, who hasn't had a fierce competitor over the last... There was another fighting championship that I cannot recall at this current time, but okay, bring it on. I want to see. If they have a global footprint and they're going to take on UFC, show me how it's going to be different. Don't give me the same product. How's it going to be different? The MLS hands a league to private equity. Private equity in sports. Once again, MLS picks its next boss, and it's a PE guy. MLS named its next commissioner Larry Berg, an Apollo private equity veteran, an LAFC co-owner, not a soccer lifer. Berg becomes MLS's third commissioner, taking over January 1st, 2027. Don Garber moves to chairman after 27 plus years. Berg must sell his LAFC stake. He beat ex-Fox exec David Nathanson. This is per ESPN on August 3rd. The commissioner's job used to be media and marketing. MLS just made it capital allocation because leagues are now part of asset portfolios, franchise values, media rights, real estate, PE stakes. And for athletes, learn the cap table of your own sport while you still have the leverage. Counterpoint, always a counterpoint. Over financialize and the fans feel it. Is the MLS a good product? The answer to that is no. For the most part. Do I love watching Messi? Number one, do I have access to MLS games? Yes, I have an Apple TV. A friend gives it to me. I don't have my own subscription. Shh. Don't get them to come after me like Netflix did. And I have my brother-in-law subscription. Shh. Okay, that's number one. Is the MLS a good product? The football in the MLS, it's definitely different than when you're watching a Premier League game, than when you're watching La Liga, you're watching it in the Italian league. Serie A and Serie B. Which I do watch because it's on Paramount Plus, and I will tune into it for sure. Is the MLS a day in and day out as good a product as European leagues? The answer to that is no. The coverage is just as good. I think Apple TV is doing a good job with their coverage. I think getting Messi obviously is a good thing. Getting Rodrigo de Paul, obviously a good thing. Getting stars to come over to play in Orlando, in Chicago, and Sonny to LAFC, obviously, guys more closer to their prime, not just, we'll talk about Beckham's deal in a second, but not coming over at the tail end of their career. Ibrahimovic was still playing a bit when he came over and was making it exciting, but at the time, it was just Ibrahimovic was the guy that came over. More stars are coming over because there's more money to give them. There's more incentive for them to come here, establish their footing and their brand in the United States. But is the MLS a global soccer powerhouse? It is not. David Beckham, when he played for the LA Galaxy, part of his deal was that he was able to start a franchise whenever he wanted to at the price that the current valuation of the franchise was. The current valuation of when David Beckham, like the franchise tag, okay, the cost to open up a franchise fee, when David Beckham was playing for the LA Galaxy was around 10 or 15 million. Okay. So he waits a couple of years after he's done playing, and he establishes the franchise fee for, is it Miami FC? Inter Miami. For his Inter Miami club. At the time, the franchise fee was around 350, 400 million. But David Beckham was able to do it for what he agreed upon when he played for the LA Galaxy at 15 million. That, in itself, in addition to a lot of other things, part of the reason why Messi came to the MLS, to play for David Beckham's club, obviously. Apple TV getting a percentage of subscriptions to Messi to play in the MLS so that people would buy Apple TV to watch Messi, obviously part of it. A couple of things that the MLS is not doing currently that's separating itself to its detriment from European football. Number one, there's no promotion and relegation in American football. American soccer. Not American football, in American soccer. The incentives are not there for MLS clubs to spend the money on their roster or their facilities or whatever it might be to improve the level of competition that pyramid football does over decades. Maybe that's going to happen. You already have a system that can do that. You have the ability to. You have USL League 2, USL League 1. MLS futures, MLS, but franchise fees are so high. The cost to run these organizations is so high. Not being part of any TV package, any TV deal, if you're the Columbus Crew, if you're the New England Revolution, you get relegated, and the Detroit FC comes up. Is that good for football? It's good for the entertainment value. It's good for trying to keep them in the league. Is that good for American football American soccer, when that happens? So that's one thing. Is the competition on the field really good? It's fine. It's fine. It's slower, certainly. Watch a game, compare it, take notes. It is a slower game in the MLS than it is in Europe or Mexico. So what is this next era of Major League Soccer going to look like? Well, if Larry Berg, has anything to say about it, more money is going to come in. Investments into players in their prime is going to come in. I would love to see the MLS be on the same schedule as European sports, as European football, so that it can line up and compete in that way with European football. And I think he's done a good job with LAFC. Obviously, more money is coming in. David Berg previously held ownership stakes in Serie A club AS Roma, as well as Welsh club Swansea City. Under Berg's ownership, LAFC won the MLS title in 2022, 2 Supporters' Shields, and a U.S. Open Trophy Cup. Larry Berg is the right leader for Major League Soccer's next chapter. Said Jimmy Haslam, CEO and chairman of Haslam Sports Group and co-chair of the MLS Succession Committee. Throughout our process, it became clear that Larry is uniquely qualified to lead MLS through one of the most significant periods in its time. I would say yes, absolutely. Significant periods in its time, yes. The United States did a fantastic job hosting the World Cup. I think the world was surprised at how well the United States hosted the World Cup. I would say, if I know FIFA, and I know how money moves enough in sports, that the World Cup is going to come back to the United States sooner than we expect. And I would say the MLS has significantly increased its footprint in the United States over the last, certainly 10 years, but over the last 20 years. And is it the 5th most popular sport in America? Yes. Behind American football, basketball, baseball, I would say hockey. National Hockey League, better watch out. If you're an athlete in the MLS, and hopefully we'll have some soon on, Moyo Kugo, friend of the show, former MLS draft pick. If you're an athlete in the MLS currently, how are you going to leverage the fact that more money is coming in? What sponsorship deals are you going to do? What footprint can you build? What can you give to brands? Is it good for you? Is it good for the players? Yeah, certainly. It's good for the players. Players are going to make more. Teams are going to be valued more. It will become more incentivizing to come to the U.S. to play. Yes, this is a move that's good for the athletes. We'll see, unless there's salary cap. I think there is a salary cap. Unless there's salary cap talks, it's going to limit the total amount that players can make, and I hope the MLS players have a union so they can collectively bargain, and I believe they do. Apple TV's deal with the MLS ends in 2029. It's 2026. He starts in 2027, 2028, 2029. And what is that next deal going to look like? Number one, what is the media landscape going to look like in 2029 for sports? There's going to be more games than what the NFL has, but he's going to look around and see, can we do a deal with Netflix? Can we do a deal with Amazon Prime? Can we do a deal with Apple TV? Can we do a deal with Peacock. What eyeballs are you going to get on the MLS? So I'm bullish on the MLS. I am certainly bullish on the MLS. I am certainly excited to see what franchise values are going to look like, what contracts are going to look like, what European, South American, African players are going to come to the U.S., who's going to be the next star in the MLS. Messi's got a couple years left. Who's the next one to come over? And when will the MLS be able to compete at that level with European football? Because there's money coming in. And as we saw with Live Golf, money's the thing that's going to move these players over. But is the product going to be as good, if not better? Thank you so much. Athletes Fund. Athletes Fund, the venture fund that backs current and former athletes, building your company's capital plus a network that gets you to where you want to go. If you are an athlete starting a company, apply now. Openathletes.org. Athletes Fund, athletes.fund. We're excited to see you. Ice Cube takes the Big Three public. Sports League on the stock exchange. A lot of European football teams are on the stock exchange. Juventus, Manchester United. Couple others. But a league. Ice Cube's Big Three is going public. Ice Cube's Big Three is going public, which would make it the first publicly traded pro sports league in the United States. Note, it's a SPAC deal first, announced June 2026, now marching toward a Q4 close. Big Three merges with SPAC Graph Global Corp at a $290 million pre-money valuation, renamed the Big Three Basketball Holdings, per ESPN and Business Wire. Expected ticker, TAUNT. Very Ice Cube. Deal targeted to close Q4 of 2026. 550,000 CBS viewers and 1 billion social impressions last season. Led by CEO O'Shea Jackson Sr. I could not believe that. When I wrote that this morning, I was just like, O'Shea Jackson, you mean the guy from the movie? You mean the actor O'Shea Jackson Sr.? Oh, led by CEO O'Shea Jackson Sr. I meant Jr. Yes, Ice Cube is the CEO. Our favorite Ice Cube. It's the CEO of the Big Three. Yep, sure. O'Shea Jackson Jr., future friend of the show. Maybe O'Shea Jackson Sr., future friend of the show. The move matters more than the multiple. Ice Cube, O'Shea Jackson Sr. is turning fans and retail investors into the cap table instead of begging a media company for a check. He owned the distribution and converted it to equity anyone can buy. SPACs have a rough history, though. Retail usually eats the losses. Are we going to see an absolutely to the moon Big Three stock? I think it was an opportunity to bring in liquidity for the league. How can they make it more exciting? How can they bring in better players? How can they bring in more advertising? How could they run this more officially? I'm not going to tune in to watch the Big Three. Big Three fans out there, let me know if I'm wrong and it's entertaining. I got no interest in watching a 46-year-old Nate Robinson play 3-on-3 basketball. None. Sorry. But doesn't mean that it's not entertaining. Doesn't mean that it's not worthy of going public in a SPAC at a $290 million valuation. Doesn't mean that O'Shea Jackson Sr., aka Ice Cube, is not doing a great job. But I would love to know if people are tuning in. I would. Big Three leagues to go public after $290 million valuation. The Big Three Basketball League, co-founded by rapper Ice Cube, is eyeing a $290 million valuation. It plans to go public later this year. The league announced Friday has reached a deal with Graph Global Corp described as publicly traded special purpose acquisition company that will offer fans a chance to buy stock in the league. Will they get voting shares? Will they have the opportunity to influence the things that happen in the league? Or will it be just an opportunity to bring liquidity in for the league? Most major league owners aren't available to buy into, though TKO, the owners of UFC and WWE, has listed publicly since September 2023. The Big Three is starting in its 9th season next week in Los Angeles. The league's title game is set for August 22nd in Charlotte, North Carolina. Why the Big Three is going public as Ice Cube laments NBA constraints. The league's 9th season debuted over the weekend with a fight that led to suspensions for former NBA players Lance Stevenson and Michael Beasley. Ice Cube envisions Big Three being around for 100 years, he tells Front Office Sports. Now is the right time to take 3-on-3 basketball league public amid challenges in securing outside capital due to NBA restrictions on owner investment. Cube apologized for the incident after the game, although the passions led to the fracas proves part of his thesis that taking the league public, Big Three, is not a novelty act. It's a competitive league whose players want to win. We want guys who still got a chip on their shoulder, who still want to play basketball against their peers at a high level. I'll give them this, though. Am I going to watch the senior PGA Tour? If Tiger was in it, maybe. I'd been to a senior PGA Tour event when I lived in Tucson, Arizona. And I got to see Mike Weir, John Daly, who shot like an 84 that day. Okay, so he's taking the senior NBA league public. They are half court and they play 3-on-3. But yeah. Is more money for athletes a good thing? Yes. But am I gonna watch Dwight Howard and Derek Favors, Corey Brewer and Mario Chalmers, and Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson? Is that appointment TV for me, a sports fan who talks about sports every single day? Maybe to 10 people right now, but in the future to a lot, hopefully. Tell your friends. Share our newsletter. Openathletes.substack.com. Show.openathletes.org. Look, man. This is a show about the business of sports. And I'll give you my hot takes and my cold takes. But I don't think the Big Three not being a great value for my time is such a hot take. But I might be wrong. Maybe I'll tune in. Maybe I'll tune in and I'll watch Lance Stevenson play Dwight Howard in a 3-on-3 game. Prove me wrong, Big Three, and come on the show. Come on the show. What else we got? Come on the show, Ice Cube. Your invitation is always here. ESPN unembraces debate. ESPN tries to kill the screaming TV era. ESPN's new content executive vice president Mike Foss wants to move away from the screaming hot take TV. Tony Romo's future at CBS is suddenly an open question. Foss reportedly wants to move away from the contentious argument as ESPN's primary sports talk. Romo's role at future CBS are in question as the network rethinks NFL coverage. Embrace debate was a distribution strategy for the tune in, gotta see it, pre-social media, early social media, cable era. The attention moved to people who own their audiences, and Romo is that case study. The value was always his, not CBS's. Well, for a little bit. I'll watch a CBS game over the Fox game if it's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo over what would be Tom Brady, and I'll listen to Tony Romo over Tom Brady 6 days a week, and on that 7th day, I'll watch Greg Olson. Tony Romo's fantastic at what he does and was worth every single penny. People were willing to tune into him and Jim Nantz, and I think that was a real move that worked. Tony Romo built the audience around him. ESPN built the audience around Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, Hot takes aplenty. And they got tickers like this. And they're going take to take to take. And you can tell they don't really believe what they're saying. And is it an outdated form of television? Of sports talk, of sports television? I will always tune in when I can to Pardon the Interruption, Michael Wilbon, and Tony Kornheiser. That is the best form of sports television. They've been doing it in the same format for 25 years. It will go down as the greatest sports show of all time. Around the Horn, may she rest in peace. As a close second, Open Athletes, The Daily Show about business, sports, politics, and technology. Third. Fourth. Third. Because I think what we're doing here is more exciting, is more entertaining. Anything that I've seen Fox do, and then what I see on ESPN right now. It just is it lost its edge. And so if you have the executive vice president of content saying, well, we're going to move away from the screaming hot take television, can you? You've seen it for so long. What is ESPN going to be? Is it going to be news again? History Channel's not history. It's Ancient Aliens. ESPN has turned into Ancient Aliens on History Channel. Why tune into ESPN when you can get news from me doing this show live, clipped on social media? You got Front Office Sports, Sports Business Journal, you got your feeds. What is ESPN doing that 20 different platforms are not doing? And ESPN said, well, we'll move away from debate television. It's not debate television. It's the people you had doing the debates. That was bad. You didn't have the right people. It was not entertaining. What is entertaining is Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. What is entertaining is their takes. What is not entertaining is sitting through a 30-minute television program with commercials in the old-fashioned model. ESPN, as much as they obviously were incredibly, and still are obviously a humongous player in the sports space. They're ESPN. What they're airing from 8 in the morning Eastern, 7 Eastern, is so boring. I like MLB's morning stuff. I like MLB Network's morning show. I like that they do a little recap, they do a little talk show, they do a little zhuzh, a little of this, a little of that. ESPN has no perspective anymore. And so them going, well, we're not going to do debate stuff. Well, why not? You just have the wrong debate people. You got rid of June Lee. You got rid of Pablo Torre. It's not about the debate. It's about who you have doing the debate. So you can't tell me you're getting rid of debate when I can't watch one of the best sports shows of all time anymore because Tony Reali's gone. So ESPN as a product is abysmal. I have no reason to tune into ESPN. None. Whatsoever. Except for PTI, if Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon are doing it in the same room together, is exceptional television. But when they're together, they're together. And I don't know how much longer we're going to have it for. It's 2026. I don't know how much longer they're going to be doing it together. And we are certainly going to miss the era when that's the case. But if I watch ESPN right now, legacy cable, ESPN, or YouTube TV, ESPN, what are they showing on ESPN every single day? A boring morning show, throughout the day, maybe a game, and Scott Van Pelt doing SportsCenter. And if I'm ESPN and I have the rights to every single sports channel in league, I am certainly not taking advantage of the eyeballs that ESPN, if we're talking about ESPN legacy, gets. Then if we go to ESPN Plus, there is way too much content for them to actually focus on the things that they are trying to do on ESPN Plus, on their ESPN app. You got the Manning stuff. Fine. You got all of the 30 for 30s. Fine. And you're going to get rid of the debate? The debate is what makes sports talk radio important. It's those conversations. So it's not the debate as a format, it's the people you have doing the debate. So I bring up Tony Romo because it's the personalities that matter the most. And you're not taking advantage of the fact that you're ESPN and can get anybody, and A, you're just unwilling to spend, and B, you're unable to be creative. As much as I am impressed by what Pat McAfee's show has done for the sports media landscape, Open Athletes, it's modeled in some way. Our show is modeled in some way after what Pat McAfee does, going live every single day. He does 3 hours a day. I do an hour because I could not imagine you listening to me for that long. But if I'm going to base the success of my network on Pat McAfee, maybe future friend of the show, you need something else. The people you have in your roster, Michael Wilbon, Tony Kornheiser, Pat McAfee, Scott Van Pelt. I cannot name any of the SportsCenter anchors. Is Linda Cohn still there? It's not debate. It's the quality of the debate. It's the people you have doing the debate. Stream this on it. I would love it. If you're with ESPN, Open Athletes would love to have a conversation with you. Athletes talking about the business of sports. We have an interview coming up over the next couple of days. Hopefully we can have an interview every single day. If you are an athlete building something, show.openathletes.org. Come on our show. If you're an entrepreneur building in sports, come on our show. This is something that sports industry is missing, and I am creating our own platform to be able to tell these stories where I don't need an ESPN. I would love to partner with ESPN. I'd love to interview ESPN people. It's not less screaming. You're not going to find another Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser, but you have had a bunch of great people in the past, and you let them go. Mind Ready mental performance coaching and sports psychology education for athletes, teams, organizations. We do workplaces. Work with Mind Ready to help improve the mental health and performance of your organization, of your workplace. We have experts. We have expertise. We have programs. I love working on Mind Ready. It's been one of the best experiences of my life. We would love to work with you. Pricey college football stadium. Northwestern's $875 million football palace, the most expensive college stadium ever built. Northwestern's new Ryan Field cost around $875 million, the most expensive college football stadium ever built, with fewer seats than the one it replaced. $875 million. Project seating is 35,000. About 12,000 fewer seats. Build is the priciest ever per ESPN. Almost entirely private funded by the Ryan family, minority owners of the potentially Indiana but Chicago Bears. Extra Points calls it an NFL meets MLB meets MLS premier venue. Fewer seats, more money, the modern venue thesis. Premium over volume. Lesson for builders to serve a smaller audience at a higher price, at a higher luxury, at a higher value. It's also a monument to college sports labor imbalance. A couple of thoughts here. Am I going to watch Northwestern college football? No. But I think people in that area, I'm sure it does well. I'm sure it sells out. It's good football. It is. Northwestern is good football. Billionaires own the Chicago Bears. Invested in this stadium so that Northwestern has a place to play. Obviously, they are going to put more in this stadium than 8 college football games throughout the year. What can they host in football? What can they host in soccer? How do you keep the lights on every single day? How do they plan on keeping the lights on every single day? Northwestern reveals plans for a new $850 million Ryan Field when Northwestern opens up the Ryan Field in 2026. It will not only be the largest stadium project in college football history, with a price tag of $850 million, possibly a model for future stadium designs around the sport and any sport. Example, Chase Field, where the Arizona Diamondbacks play, 82 games a season, and if they're lucky enough to make the playoffs, 10 playoff games, 15 playoff games. And in 1998, 1997, 1994, when it was said that the team was going to come to Arizona, they said bigger is better. And the Arizona Diamondbacks, when they do sell out, make more tickets. Make more money in their tickets, right? But Chase Field is not filling up 40,000 people a night. The new model, which the Las Vegas A's should consider, which other teams looking for new stadiums should consider, if they're privately funded and not publicly funded, obviously. Exclusive, luxury, higher price tag, better experience, closer to the action. For the NFL, yes, 100,000 person stadium, 90,000 person stadium, sure. Michigan hosts 110,000 in the big house, sure. Northwestern does not need a stadium that can host 100,000 people. Now, you could build something nice for, maybe you couldn't, 500 million, right? But having something be more exclusive, a little bit higher price tag, smaller in nature, in a lot of ways is a better experience as a fan rather than sitting so far away. But is increased ticket prices going to exclude fans of the sport? Yes. It's too expensive to do everything now. It's too expensive to drive to the game. It's too expensive to park. It's too expensive to eat. It's too expensive to go into the stadium. It's too expensive to watch on television. Everything's too expensive, and they're building a stadium that's more exclusive. Something like what the MLS plays in. Something like what Premier League teams play in, the mid-tier, smaller tier ones. It will have the Big Ten's smallest capacity of 35,000, but emphasizes the experience for each spectator, which includes sight lines much closer to the field than traditional bold stadiums because of structural steel in the base of the stadium. Our worst seat in the stadium is 100 feet closer to the field than most expensive seat in the big house, said Pat Ryan Jr., co-CEO of Ryan Sports Development, referring to a 107,601 seat Michigan Stadium. You're building things up, cantilevering them over instead of going out. It's structurally much more challenging from an engineering perspective, but you got to create better than TV sightlines. Northwestern's new Ryan Field opens up in 2026. The Ryan family, who own minority owner of the Chicago Bears, has a stake in the EPL club AFC Bournemouth, surveyed multiple recent professional facilities during the design process, and the new Ryan Field will feature a canopy that covers the entire seating area, but not the playing field, and is designed to maximize sound. Northwestern student section will be positioned and designed more like a supporter section at top soccer stadiums. Great! Better experience. Better pizza. Papa John's, future sponsor of the show. Will this create a better viewing experience for fans? Yes. Will it be more expensive? Yes. Is it expensive to rebuild? Yes. Are they going to want their money back? Yes. Ryan said NFL teams are shrinking their stadium capacities in part because of undesirable upper deck seats. Yes. Although the new Ryan Field reduces seating capacity by 30%, the building will be 78% larger, and the area it covers will increase by 125,000 square feet to accommodate several club and plaza areas for entertainment and dining. Will it be more expensive? I hope not. But it will. What else are they going to do in that so other people have the ability to experience it? Or are they going to build all of this for 8 Northwestern football home games? San Diego State Snapdragon Stadium at a $310 million renovation, the biggest renovation in college sports at the time. Texas A&M's Kyle Field at $450 million renovation. Northwestern, which had put aside funds in anticipation of a stadium renovation, will support part of the rebuild, but will mostly come from the Ryan family. It's a long-term investment, of course. It's a trend that we will continue to see. Smaller, more exclusive luxury is better than not. Than just being a sardine stuffed at the top of the rafters. Thank you. Robinhood turned sports into a casino. Your brokerage is now a sportsbook. Robinhood's Q2 earnings show event contract trading, betting on outcomes, growing fast. The line between investing and gambling didn't blur, it erased. Robinhood, their Q2 earnings highlight event contracts or prediction-style trading as fast-growing businesses. Meta is thinking about it. Polymarket. Robinhood. What other platforms are you using on a daily basis that's going to push for the opportunity to participate in prediction markets rather than sports betting? State regulatory heat? Is it gambling? Is it illegal? Can everybody do it? Is everything a casino now? And every platform that your audience touches, athlete, business owner in sports, it's re-engineered to convert attention into transactions. Athletes are the material, but also stand closest to the source. Athletes own your distribution, so you can negotiate as a partner with equity and not get scraped for a fee. Open Athletes will not promote gambling prediction markets as part of the thing that we offer. I am vehemently against gambling, the influence of gambling in sport itself. I think it's bad for sports. Is more money from sponsorships going back to the athletes? And is more money for the athletes good for sports? Yes. Is the proliferation of gambling and prediction markets as it pertains to the on-field product of all sport good for sport? No. Gambling is bad. I believe gambling's bad. If you gamble, gamble. That's your thing. Sometimes I go to a restaurant and I have a cocktail. I love a nice cocktail. And if you go have a couple, up to you. Totally your choice. It's your money. It's your body. It's your choice. Do whatever you want to do. My take on it, as a former professional athlete, as someone who's participated in collective action, collective bargaining as part of representing a body of athletes, athletes are vulnerable. They want to maximize their time in the room. The temptation to change an outcome of a game is definitely there. We've seen it with Ivan Toney. We've seen it with Emmanuel Clase. We've seen it with college baseball players. We've seen it with referees time and time again, and we're going to continue to see it because it's more prevalent now than it ever has been. And the surface area for something to go wrong means that it will go wrong. So Robinhood, and I'm not going to lecture you. Do whatever you want. But Robinhood, seeing prediction markets being an incredibly valuable stream of revenue for them, the temptation to gamble on crypto and stocks and prediction markets and sports betting is more prevalent now than it ever has been in the history of ever. And the fact that it's right here. I could put $1,000 on the Buffalo Sabres. I have no idea why I just thought of them. Should there be more regulation? Sure. Yes. Should it be age gated? Obviously. More severely. Should it be on TV every single commercial? There's right and wrong. And my take is that sports betting and the proliferation of sports betting is harmful to the current state of sport and the future of sport. And I don't need to be right or wrong on this one. I don't. I truly do not. And we'll see the outcomes and the ramifications that this has on a generation of young folks, how old am I? Young people who now go, whoa, sports means betting. And to watch sports, I need to bet. Nothing's worse than watching somebody on FanDuel at a bar or when you're with your friends and he puts $5 on the Steelers and he's freaking out because the Steelers aren't going to cover the spread. Is that the way that we should be watching sports? Again, up to you. Your money. Your choice. Whatever you want. Me as an athlete, I'm just bored by it. But I'm curious to hear your take. Let us know. Let me know. Let me know if you want me to talk about it more. Let me know if you're building something in the sports prediction market betting space. I would love to have you on to talk about these things. If you're with one of these platforms, come on to the show. Let's talk about it. I would love to. I think this stuff is incredibly interesting. And it's incredibly impactful. Hello, Audit. Creative studio for brand, space, image, and experience. The first 5 clients get 1 month for $1. Then a studio, expertise, 1 project, 1 ask at a time. Oh my God, Open Athletes is there. That's crazy. Audit, auudit.jeremywolf.co. I would love to work with you. This is what I do. I love having these conversations. I love helping brands. I love strategizing. I love helping athletes see a vision through. Why do Open Athletes? Because it gives me an opportunity to have this conversation every single day with an audience of people who may or may not be interested, who might just stumble upon it, who might know me personally. Hello, if you are. Who might be an athlete. There's a lot that we can learn, regardless of what industry that we're in, from sport. Sport is a microcosm of society. Thank you, Dr. Jacob Tingle, Trinity University. One of the best people I've been able to meet in my travels, in my studies of sport. Sport management minor here. Marketing, almost double major here. Communication major here. I majored in baseball. And I was an accounting class away from a double major. Don't you forget it. However, somebody can't do math in public. However, the things we talk about here at Open Athletes are incredibly important to the current and future state of sport as we analyze the past of sport. 10 years ago, Jake Paul was just some YouTuber. And he's used sport to become prominent globally. He has sports betting platforms. He has his drink company, his sports hydration drink company. most valuable promotions, merging with the Professional Fighting League. Jake Paul walked in with an audience and turned it into, I wrote here a fight company, but global distribution of Jake Paul and fighting. Jake Paul is fighting now. Jake Paul is not the YouTuber who used to do dumb YouTube stuff. Jake Paul is a global brand built around sport. Ice Cube is a global brand now built around sport. ESPN is admitting attention followed the people who own their audiences. ESPN had all of the best sports personalities. All of them. And let them go because of hubris. And their product suffered because they thought, oh, they're ESPN, people will tune in. But Pablo Torre is doing incredible things on another platform. Dan Le Batard on his own platform. June Lee on YouTube on his own platform. What is ESPN without the people that are willing, that I'm willing to tune in for? Is Scott Van Pelt amazing? Yes. If you're watching Scott, come on the show. Amazing. And am I tuning in to watch Scott Van Pelt? Yes. Yes. Because it's good TV. That's a good hour and a half of TV every single night. Hour and a half. Post game, post Monday Night Football. Excellent television. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck doing Monday Night Football. Fine. You paid a premium for that. I like that way better than any of the other announcers that they had. But ESPN just admitting, well, we're not going to do discussion-based television. It's not about the type of television. It's about who you have having the conversations with your audience, and that's what they're not doing a good job in anymore. Robinhood, turn your phone into a casino because whoever controls attention controls the money. So in 2026, you are not the talent, you're the distribution, and most athletes have it backwards. You are the talent, and you can be the distribution. We will say this every single day on the show. The show should just be called You Are the Distribution. Create an audience. Create a platform. Open Athletes is a platform for you to start a business and help monetize that business because you're now going to have a jump start from the audience that we've built and are building. I never had that. I had always had to start from zero. To my detriment, I was a professional athlete, and I never took advantage of that. I was a Division III baseball player, and I didn't have much leverage from that. And I was too scared to be on camera and to be authentically myself, but to be embarrassed by doing these things. And I would say, like, you're going to have a lot of fun when you move past that if that's something you want to do, if you want to leverage your time in the window. But I was in the window with the New York Mets, and I did not take advantage of it. To my unfortunate detriment, and I am late to the party because of that. Talent was never the scarce thing. 1,000 people can play, 5,000 people play minor league baseball. What can you own that cannot be copied? I've told people about Open Athletes, and they're like, well, this one does that. Well, that one does that. You're going to start a business with competition. Number one, competition is a good thing. Differentiate yourself and be better. And people are going to say, well, they already do it. How can you do it better? And how can you be you doing it? So yes, other people are doing something in the helping athletes transition out of playing sports and starting businesses thing. Sure, fine, whatever. But none of them have me. Not that I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm not. Not that I'm the best operator in the world. I'm not. But the thing I love doing the most is having these conversations. And I'm going to have it as authentically me. And that is the value that I bring to whatever marketplace of ideas that we are building. And if you're an athlete, join Open Athletes because I will work really freaking hard to help you get from point A to point B and C and beyond. That is what brings me joy. Yes, I have ideas for companies that I am doing and want to do. The hardest part is to be yourself and solve a real problem. All of the things that I've started solve problems. All the things that you start are going to solve problems. But do you have a community of people to support you with that? And do you have a real audience to be able to distribute that to somebody who might want to participate or want to buy or whatever? You are right now, as an athlete, inventory with an expiration date. You are a green banana on a shelf, and you're getting ripe. That's not in the script. That is one of my famous ad-libs. You are in a very small window. And everything is a casino. Stop being a chip and own a piece of the floor. How can you own a piece of the floor? How could you own a piece of whatever it is that you're helping build? Whoever's using your audience, do not have them rent you. Participate in that. Participate in the outcomes. Jeremy, as a former professional athlete, is way less of a way to get my foot in the door than Jeremy as a professional athlete. My window, professionally, is 18 months with the New York Mets and 3 years qualifying for the Olympics. And then I qualified for the Olympics, and we shrunk the rosters, and we brought on a couple other guys because it was during COVID, and I did not go to Tokyo, and I am not an Olympian. I qualified for the Olympics. I was on a team that qualified for the Olympics. So I'm a former MLB draft pick, qualified for the Olympics. That gets me, gets you to tune in. What does this former professional athlete have to say? Does it get me in every single window, every single room I want to be in? Not yet. What opportunities can be there to help you do that? 400 fighters are now under Jake Paul's umbrella, who has one of the, if not the largest young person sports audience in the world. The MLS is handing its league to a private equity person who's been in sports for a long time, sure, but the job of the commissioner is to make the league more money, and transitioning it to this private equity guy is the next iteration of what the MLS wants to be, which is a top 4 league. It's close. The NHL is not on Apple TV. Apple TV's sexy. F1's on Apple TV. MLS is close. The big 3 going public, we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But all of the stories that we've talked about today, distribution owner converts into ownership. And how can you leverage your time as an athlete to distribute the thing that you do so that you can do things after sports, currently in sports and then after sports? Not everyone has an audience, sure. And you don't need 50 million followers to have the outcomes or create an opportunity that you wouldn't have had otherwise. My receipts, I help with More Than Baseball. It's the largest union, to what turned into the largest union of a body of unionized athletes in professional sports. Minor league baseball players went from making $3,000 a year for $40,000 a year. We raised $2.5 million in 3 years. I was a 31st round draft pick. I did not have a window until a week ago. I've been building this for the last 6 weeks, and now I am creating an opportunity to tell my story, but also help the athletes and the businesses in sports that are participating in the marketplace of ideas in sports. I don't have to be Kevin Durant to make a difference. Kevin, if you're watching, come on the show. But what is one thing you own, athlete? Your audience and your access. My advice to you is figure out which one you can start with. As you build something for yourself to build leverage in sport. What is your leverage going to be? Your audience, if you're building it, or can build it, or have something to say to a specific type of audience, or your access. It is easier now more than ever to start a business. It is easier now more than ever to build an audience for that business. What is harder is to be authentically yourself. Don't be the chip on the floor, sure. Don't be the banana, be the bunch, whatever. You have an opportunity right now to do something in sports that's never been done. The never been done part is you building that window for yourself. What are you going to do to create that audience for yourself? If that's something you want to do, what are you going to do to utilize the access that you have to the best of your ability? What are you going to do to build your network while you're a professional athlete? What are you going to do? Doing nothing is not an option anymore. Or you do nothing and you think 8 years later, like me, man, I wish I did something. Your career is going to end. Mine did. Ours did. Everyone out there's did. High school, college, professional, before high school. And even if you're a Hall of Famer, you have all the money in the world. Fine, whatever. What are you going to do next? Who are you going to be next? That's the question. That's the question we're going to ask every single day. We're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about what's happening in sports, how athletes are being leveraged, are going to leverage it, are being taken advantage of, how they can change the tides. But what are you going to do to separate yourself from others while you're playing and after you're done? Because you're going to want a job if you're not creating something now. And how are you as a professional athlete going to separate yourself to get a job? I got a job in health insurance. The only reason I got that job is because I had experience building a thing. The thing for me turned into, so far, the most impactful thing I've ever built. But it got me a job in health insurance. I wasn't able to continue more than baseball the way that I wanted to past building the union. The union was the goal. It could still raise money to help people get equipment. Sure, I would love to do that. I would love to continue to do that, to use our audience to do that. But did I stay in sports? No, I didn't build the network the way that I wanted to. I had a smaller, tighter network, but that smaller, tighter network I have wasn't inside of front offices. It wasn't with brands that were building in sport. I didn't leverage my time in the window. And I will speak every single day until I'm blue in the face about how you need to leverage your time inside of the window. And if today is any example of that, it is to do that. Man, these days fly by. Show.openathletes.org. Openathletes.org if you want to apply to be part of the cohort. Come have a conversation with us. If you have an idea that you want to work on, come do it. If you're an entrepreneur building in sports, come on our show and talk about why you're building in sports. Tell us about your product. I know a lot of people who are like, man, I have this idea for this soccer technology thing. I never played soccer. I just think it'll be interesting. Come on and tell us about it. Come on and tell us about it. We'd love to hear from you. Show.openathletes.org. If you have thoughts, questions, openathletes@gmail.com. I'm Jeremy Wolf, former professional athlete, former MLB draft pick. I'm excited to see you tomorrow.